Hello again, all you trapped at home students. So I have another project which I think would be a interesting one and a fun one to try to do while you're all trapped and waiting for this virus to leave us alone. So this particular project uses nothing but an Arduino. Okay, I'm using my Teensy, but in this case you could use any Arduino. There's no buttons, no nothing else. It's all going to be text-based. And it takes advantage of an old, well, not that old, story. When my kids were little, I'm sure some of you remember Captain Underpants. And this is the episode here with Professor Poopypants. And he has all the residents in the town have to change their name based upon their existing name and extracting the first letter of the first name and I forget if it's the first letter, the second, their last name, and the last letter of their last name, or something along that line, some structure. And what I've done is I've taken and put all of that into an Arduino application. Okay, and so what you end up doing is you put your name in here. Let me move that over a little bit. So, and if I put in there Brian Patton, you can see that it's going to go ahead and do some calculations. Now, mind you, all these things here are just wasting time. I just want it to look cool. It would have happened in split seconds, okay? And, of course, my name is Lumpy Hamster Chunks, all right? And so this particular project is going to take that information and parse it and get the pieces of data that it needs to be able to make those calculations. And of course it's based on the SCIF for the serial keyboard interface. I did put another tab up here. Now you guys are very familiar with if statements, and intensive students I believe at least had to do the switch, but to me, it made a lot more sense to use a switch than it did a bunch of if-thens, so you can see that I can actually go through the entire alphabet rather quickly. I'm not going to show you much of this code, but I will tell you that it did take some stuff that is not in Chris's textbooks. The string, being able to concatenate strings and manipulate strings or use strings is certainly there, but not actually taking apart a string and looking for its parts. Okay? So that is going to take the two uppercases in there, but other functions are not. So let me take you over here to the internet and tell you what I did. So what I ended up doing is I simply searched Arduino string, okay, in Google, and that takes us to this page. And here we talk about strings and what they are, and that leads to a long list of other cool functions that you can use, okay? So, for example, what I ended up doing was I needed to be able to look at that string, okay, that string of characters, and find out what they were. Now, the super easiest one is you're probably going to use this character at a fair bit. So, what's the character at position 0? Well, Brian Patton. That would be a B. That one's easy. But then you have to figure out how to actually parse that string into its individual bits, okay, and figure it out. So all these things are going to be useful tools for you. I think I ended up using character at. I think I had to figure out the length of the string, and I needed to find out position of something. For example, the space between the first and the last name. So if you were to do some research here, click on these links, find out how they're used, check out some of the examples. I think you could probably do this code here in a reasonably short period of time. Certainly the basic framework, very quick, and then ultimately it becomes a whole lot of copying and pasting. Okay? So there you go. I think this is a good project. Doesn't use anything other than an Arduino board, and it's a fair challenge. So I will see you guys again soon.